Monster Hunter Stories is a great Pokémon game. By calling it a better Pokémon experience than actual recent Pokémon titles, I wouldn't exaggerate the potential of Monster Hunter Stories. Basically, you are one of the monster riders of this spin-off universe, form your team of 5 monsters, roam around the land, enter monster dens to steal monster eggs, hatch them in your barn to have more monsters, transfer passive attributes of a monster to another by sacrificing them. It's practically a blend of Monster Hunter and Pokémon formula released from the clutches of Nintendo 3DS exclusive library. I'm Arcadenaut here, and today I will introduce you to a new Monster Hunter experience that will occupy you until the release of Monster Hunter Wilds. Or at least satisfy your Monster Hunter hunger for a while. Initially released for Nintendo 3DS in 2016, the first Monster Hunter Stories and its sequel are remastered. And the first Monster Hunter Stories is released for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Steam. Monster Hunter Stories is a spin-off that introduces players to a vibrant, story-driven RPG world where the bond between humans and monsters takes center stage. Instead of hunting monsters like Rathalos, and Deviljho, you befriend these monsters by capturing their eggs from the monster dens around different regions. And with its charming art style and accessible gameplay mechanics, Monster Hunter Stories carves out a niche of its own, appealing to both Monster Hunter fans and newcomers alike. Monster Hunter Stories begins in the serene village of Hakum. In this place, riders and Monsties coexist harmoniously. Unlike hunters trained to slay monsters, riders form deep bonds with these creatures, riding them into battle and treating them as trusted companions. Although we fight against the monsters, defeating and collecting their scales and other bodily parts, we never actually hunt them. We politely ask for their parts to craft new armor and weapons to get stronger, similar to the Monster Hunter titles. And our protagonist's journey kicks off as we discover a Rathalos egg. The protagonist and their friend Cheval and Lilia, they all try to become a rider by completing the rider trial. However, they are confronted with the Black Blight, a mysterious and malevolent force that corrupts monsters, making them go berserk and attack any human on sight. As our leading characters return from their expedition with a baby Rathalos, their village is attacked by a corrupted Nargacuga, killing Cheval's mother, and Cheval losing his belief in harmony with the humans. This blight becomes a central antagonist in the story as the players become rider, traveling across the land, purifying any sources of the Black Blight. During this journey, the protagonist starts as a novice rider, meeting with Naviro, the loyal feline companion who can smell the quality of the eggs that you can collect, another rider called Avinia with her Bariot, and Riverto, a seasoned hunter, learning more and more about the hunters, the Black Blight, and the other people who wish to control monsters for their own gains. Monster Hunter Stories offers a narrative similar to the Pokémon titles. Our hero grows as a rider, meeting new people and collecting Monsties with higher rarities to stop the Black Blight from spreading. Its narrative is in its most vital point, and I find the sequel's narrative and the story build-up way better than the first game. Nearly the first 8 to 10 hours are mainly about the build-up of the events and the tutorials. The armor and the weapon crafting or customizing your loadout starts as you reach the human city of Gildegaran, so I would recommend you to get this part of the story as soon as possible without searching for the best egg with the best possible genes. But if you're interested in this Monster Rider concept of building the best team, having the most optimal passive attributes for your Monsties, then you can of course just enjoy the ride. Do side quests, find rare eggs for your monster collection. And if you are still interested in Monster Hunter Stories, let's continue with the in-depth gameplay mechanics of Monster Hunter Stories. Monster Hunter Stories provides a fresh take on the classic Monster Hunter formula by blending it with the mechanics of creature collection and turn-based combat reminiscent of Pokémon titles. It also departs from the real-time action combat of its mainline predecessors, embracing a turn-based battle system that is both strategic and accessible. This strategic part of the gameplay is mainly focused on the rock paper scissors system. You and your Monstie can either do power, speed or technical attacks, and these choices are effective against each other. Power counters technical, speed counters power, and technical counters speed. This guess system becomes your key to defeating monsters, mainly when you are being targeted by one of them, leading you to a head-on situation. By guessing the rock, paper and scissors correctly, you deal increased damage, receive decreased damage and obtain kinship points so that you can either cast skills during the fight or ride on your monster to deal even more increased damage or make the special moves of that monster. Although this rock paper scissors mechanic might seem a bit shallow, it's not. By fighting against different monsters with different movesets, Monster Hunter Stories keeps it fresh and challenging, as it wants you to learn the monster's moveset, if their behavior changes when they get angry or not, or how they react when you beat them during a head-on sequence. Simply pressing either power, speed or technical over and over might make things difficult for you, especially during the boss fights, as countering the monsters effectively is pivotal for the victory. Moreover, you can also perform double attacks when the rider and their Monstie use the same attack against an opponent's attack type, resulting in extra damage, extra kinship points, and preventing the enemy from retaliating. And here, the real strategic depth and late game gameplay mechanics of Monster Hunter Stories actually shine. It wants you to capture different types of Monsties and change your Monstie during mid-fight to keep the momentum on your side. Changing Monsties in a turn does not waste your attack chance during that turn, so if you need a speed Monstie like Tigrex or power technical Monstie like Rathalos, you can change to them quickly, do your attack and then summon your Diabolos back to your team if you need a tanky Monstie. However, what Monster Hunter Stories does not have is the difference between slash, blunt and piercing damage or attacking a specific part of the enemy. All these mechanics are implemented in Monster Hunter Stories 2, which I will be reviewing later when I'm done with that. The weapons of Monster Hunter Stories are Great Sword, Sword and Shield, Hammer and Hunting Horn, and although each weapon has different uses, you cannot change weapons during a fight, just like the sequel allows you to. Great Sword and Hammer are mainly for DPS, Sword and Shield makes your rider a bit more tanky, Hunting Horn can let you buff your team or debuff the enemy monster by making the power, speed, technical moves in order, just like the music tones. I mainly played with Great Sword, upgrading its damage and crit rate, however, I also went for Hammer and Hunting Horn on some occasions. Significantly, the defense reduction debuff of Hunting Horn can help you beat many boss fights if you focus on making your Rathalos stronger or have glass cannon Monsties like Narkakuga or Tigrex. Sword and Shield might be efficient during the Master Rank quests, still there is literally no reason to play tanky during the main story progression. It took me around 27 hours to beat the game, doing its side quests and hunting for rare eggs as well, though I didn't play much of the post-game content and went straight for Monster Hunter Stories 2. From here, let's talk about the Monsties of Monster Hunter Stories, the features and the aspects of this system that make it a Pokémon game that is better than the latest Pokémon titles. You don't get to catch a giant Tigrex, Deviljho, Barriot or a Kirin. You either find one of the monster dens, delve deeper into the nest, find an egg to hatch, or encounter one of the Monsties that you want to have in your party, bring their health to lowest possible level, and then throw a paintball at them to make them retreat to their own nests. And of course, there is the rarity of these eggs. Depending on how much the egg smells or how heavy it is, it's born with additional passive abilities or gene slots that you can customize to make it the most optimal Monstie. And this mechanic is basically like trying to find a shiny Pokemon with the best nature and EV attributes. Well, Pokemon is more dependent on luck and parent Pokemons, but if you want to build the ultimate team or complete all the post-game content, the rite of channeling and the egg rarity will be the most important mechanics of Monster Hunter stories. Through the rite of channeling, you can customize your Monsties' abilities through a genetic modification system that allows them to transfer genes from one Monstie to another by sacrificing the latter. Moreover, this also lets you to create Monsties that can surpass even their purpose. You can make a Zinogre that can do dragon or maybe even ice damage, a Lugombi with fire abilities and much more. Basically something like making your Charizard do Thunderbolt kind of a stuff. And given that iconic creatures such as Rathalos, Nargacuga and Tigrex have a set of unique moves and abilities that can be leveraged in battle, the potential is vast. And it becomes even better with the sequel. This Monstie customization stuff is not mandatory for the main story, however, I would strongly advise you to at least customize your Rathalos so that you would not have any problems with the last bosses of the story quests. Last but not least, although Monster Hunter Stories is a remaster from the Nintendo 3DS title, during some of the parts of the open world, the world design seems quite bland. Whether it be the open grassland or the desert areas, it looks like the remaster is mainly focused on resolution and the performance and not the open world details. So, Monster Hunter Stories could make you feel like you are playing a PlayStation 2 era title during some of the sequences. Although smaller dungeon-like areas like the rainforest and snowy mountains look more charming than the other big open world areas, Monster Hunter Stories visuals are primarily focused on battles, kinship moves and monster designs. Although the overall world design is entirely predictable, from the grasslands to snowy mountains, open plains, deserts and then a volcano area before reaching the final battle, there are lots of places to traverse with different Monsties, lots of materials to collect, lots of items to craft and of course sub-quests and requests to complete. Monster Hunter Stories is definitely a must-play if you're a Monster Hunter fan, and I'm sure it would hook you to itself with its unique aspects. Needless to say, Monster Hunter Stories successfully blends the mechanics of beloved Monster Hunter and Pokémon franchise, creating an engaging, sometimes dorky, yet strategic RPG for those willing to experience. Despite some shortcomings in world design, the game's vibrant art style and detailed monster animations shine, and all these aspects, whether it be Monstie design, the combat mechanics, the visuals and the narrative, basically everything, are really upgraded, polished and improved in the sequel. So if you enjoyed this review or planning to play Monster Hunter Stories, be sure to stay tuned for my review for Monster Hunter Stories 2 as well. There is still a lot of time until the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, and Monster Hunter Stories is an excellent choice to satisfy this never-ending Monster Hunter hunger. As always, thank you for watching today's video. Any humble support through YouTube join and Patreon is really appreciated. I will see you soon in my next video. Stay tuned.